Welcome back to Slow Unpacking, where we will take our sweet time. Magic the Gathering is a game, but for me it's more about the story. I love watching unpackings of cards. Who doesn't want to hear that satisfying crackle? This is nice, but I always find myself pausing the video between the cards to try to look at them. So I thought, why not just pause the video for myself? This way I can unravel the story together with you. This is Slow Unpacking. Totally Lost by Aaron Miller. Flavor? At least this was better than that week at the jury review. Fubblethup is a creature from the Azorius Towers of New Prague. A massive structure where even people who live there get lost. Fubblethup has the additional talent of getting lost anywhere, often getting him in trouble. Right now, he is on the massive statue of an interplanetary supervillain. I would argue, a better place than down on the ground for the moment. The jury review is the stage of jury from the Rakdos Guild, a guild that has clear rules like the Azorius, though here the rules are that there are no rules. Fubble has been part of a captive audience there for some time. Fubble has never liked crowds though. Fubble often lets us back the question, how did he get there? Guild Globe by Daniel Liunggren. Flavor? Hopefully Ravnica will prove harder to break by Karn. Guild Globe is a cantrip for 2 that lets you fix mana. Nope, there's more. Look at the kind of mana it gives you. 2 different kinds. Reminds you of something? Exactly, guild mana. Now that mechanical part ties into the story. Here we see a somewhat Celestian or maybe boros depiction of a guild. Perhaps there are more globes like this for every guild. A kind of souvenir for all the planeswalkers that come there? Maybe it is more of a crystal magic ball that lets you see the essence of all the guilds. Or perhaps it will even let you know what kind of guild fits you best, like a Ravnican sorcerer's hat. Sarkhan's Catharsis by Zack Stella. Flavor? You once brought havoc to my home and ruined my mind. I'm here to return the favor, Bolas. Nicol Bolas's grand scheme involved making a lot of people angry and using their anger. Previous week we saw Nevin making volcano people angry. Nicol Bolas, a dragon, angered the dragon lover, planeswalker himself. I don't know what to feel about this. 5 damage to a planeswalker when Nicol Bolas has 4 loyalty counters when he comes in. That is thematic. Could Sarkhan have beaten Nicol if he had been less angry? Right now he is just burning the waters of Ravnica. 1. Not very efficient to burn water. 2. What is the use of that? Courage in Crisis by Micah Epstein. Thanks to my father I know how to fight. He also showed me why I must. Courage features a person with their father in their hands. The emotion of this piece is mostly evident in the eyes of this soldier. They are wearing Celestia clothing and their eyes are the eyes of someone who has just lost something that they would have thought was as invincible as Gideon. Their father has taught them how to fight and why sometimes fighting is necessary if it is for the good of nature. Now it seems this person has been struggling with keeping their rage in. Sometimes even Celestians have to release their emotions. Micah Epstein makes emotion through poses and very often just through someone's eyes. These eyes are very much a window to someone's soul. Band Together by Josh Haas. Flavor? In times of peril, the vision of the ancient Peruns for the city comes into focus. Another card that shows us that green can be aggressive if necessary. In this art, it is not entirely clear to me of which guilds these people are, but that is interesting on its own. Apparently these guilds do not matter as much in times of war. What is interesting is the story behind this story. The ancient Peruns were the original leaders that created the first guild pact. At the moment of this card, there is no guild pact anymore, so there is no real reason for the guilds to work together. Yet they have never been more close than at this moment. Now for my guess, it seems like these people are Celestian and probably Simic or Golgari. as the card is green and cruel has not been in the same side. But there is a way more logical explanation for this. Band together. So that means green, white and blue together. So Simic and Selesnya. Goblin Assault Team by Zoltan Boros. Flavor: under the veneer of the various guilds, each goblin has the same basic need. To run screaming at the enemy and hit a bunch of stuff. We see a Boros, Cruel and Izzet goblin here, I think, all running towards the same beautiful goal. It is also fun to imagine how these three different guilds came together discussing tactics and all said, we have these guys left. Zoltan has previously made all the charms of all different guilds, which are a sort of signature spell that depicts some mechanics that fit each guild. I think it's fitting and philosophical for Zoltan to now be in charge of this other overarching theme, goblins. Bulwark Giant by Viktor Adam Minguez. Flavor: where did she come from? More importantly, are there more like her? Gideon. Is Gideon in love? She does look a bit like Chandra. But perhaps Gideon just likes the fact that she is so big and wants to enroll her into his own army. This giant apparently came out of nothingness and saved this little guy and swapped at least 2 zombies away in one singular movement. This is a lifesaver if I have ever seen one, and so is Giddy. I want to point out that Gideon would never need saving. So either he is glad that this giant can save others, which is possible, or he is actually in love with, which I choose to personally believe. Spellkeeper Weird by James Paick. Flavor: they worked well as a team, but they knew it couldn't last forever. A weird is a pair of elementals of the opposite element, a sort of yin-yang, were it not for the fact that weirds are created by the Izzet guild, and therefore by default chaotic. In this case, I would not really say that this is a weird yet. In the bottom right corner of this art we see Spellgorger Weird, an elemental that grows with each spell you cast. Its flavor says, freed from their respective labs, the 2 weirds formed a partnership, feeding on the arcane energies of war. These are 2 elementals who were supposed to become a weird. But wait, maybe that is why we weirdly see the Gorger standing in this art. They are already connected and therefore are already a weird together. The perfect kind of love. Being weird together. Nixilis' Cruelty by Igor Kiervluk. Flavor: trapped on Ravnica with no affection for either side, Nixilis sought gratification in random acts of torment. Nixilis was lured in by the power of the interplanar beacon and could not leave because of the immortal sun. Even though Obi is the enemy of Gideon, Jace, Nissa, Chandra and most other people, he did work together with them to kill some Eternals, because they had a lot of power and he wanted it. Obi joined the other planeswalkers to Amonkhet to cut off the source of Eternals, and mostly because he wanted to escape Ravnica, which he did. He did, according to the story, double his already massive power as well. Centaur Nurturer from Even Amundsen. Flavor: I call upon the vigor of the grasses, the hopes of the flowers and the dreams of the trees. This card mechanically tries to be life-gaining mana and a body. It is not good in any of those. What is impressive is that in times of war, this centaur stands here, deposing its enemies. I do not think the zombie Eternals know this form of bad memory, but for me it would have been an inspiration. Evan often makes characters with goofy amounts of fantasy in them. Here we see something that seems serious until we look at the face of the centaur druid. That nose is exactly in Evan's style. Dreadmalkin by Aaron Miller again. Flavor: the feline Eternal felt Liliana's command, looked at her disdainfully, flicked its paw and scampered away across the rooftops. Liliana controlled literal gods with their command. This zombie cat was not that easy to order around. Aaron Miller's art is not very clear in style, which is definitely not a bad thing. His art is very distinctive though. All of his creatures seem to have something to remember them by. This is a cat that is also an Eternal, which is already impressive, but it is also a cat with the most terrifying throat ever. I want to close this analysis off by the fact that Eternals have to earn the right to become one by beating all 5 trials of Amonkhet. This cat did that, or Bantu just thought it was cute. Ajani's Pridemate by Sidharth Chaturvedi. Flavor: Planeswalkers conjured replicas of old allies, reminders of the homeworlds that would fall next if Bolas prevailed. Here we see another cat, one from Ajani, the Planeswalker who is also a cat. We saw Sidharth last week with Kitesail Skirmisher, where it showed us pirate culture. Now we see another, dare I say, masterpiece that you are sure to remember even if you have only seen it in play. Why? Because the huge square cat is imposing and we are first wondering what it is that is prowling before us. I shall also say that I know of a way better artist study about this, which I will link in the description. So if art is your jam, please check that out as well. Merfolk Skydiver by Sara Wintern. Sara Wintern makes some of the most real characters ever. If not in the shape of an Egyptian captain or a very stylish farmer, then a pair of vampires that have just bitten your ear off. In this case we see a mutated Merfolk that lets you mutate other creatures as well. Its electromagnetic currents enable all small mutations to become citywide disasters. It can also be a flying tutu for 2 mana, which is already pretty good. I know I would want this on my team, if only for the fact that I am pretty weird myself. Gideon Blackblade by Viktor Titov. Last week Viktor showed us a bitter revelation from Sorin. Now he shows us the bitter revelation I had. Gideon will always be one of my favorite characters, and seeing him sacrifice himself to exile something is just sadness. I do not even want to ultimate him. So for me this card is just another attacking 4/4. But the fact that Gideon is seen here one more time in an ultimate stance of sacrifice, even as he is being tempted by the sword as he falls, is very epic. The demon behind him is actually Rakdos, as his beloved god Oketra had just shot his sky horse. I would not want to have seen another way of this ending than him jumping off a Pegasus called Gideon's Promise without a parachute, which is already epic, but that did not work, and Gideon died a bit later, when he saved Liliana from her curse, enabling her to control all Eternals except for the cat from before. Another epic card, Forest from Titus Lunter. Last week we saw Titus and then Victor. Titus showed us how you should never play with nature. Here he shows us what to do instead. If you want a great life, then you should try to be in line with nature as much as possible. Ravnica is very interesting, as their lands are almost all situated in the city. Here we see the still peaceful Selesnya, which is non-assuming big tree that will definitely not do anything, I promise. Another epic card, Servo, from Victor Adam Minguez again. Servos are small artifact creatures who are stated to be 1/1 creatures by design, meaning that they will always be very small robots. They do not have a clear purpose, but not having a purpose, as I have spoken about earlier, is also a purpose. Servos are from Kaladesh, which is a plane where artifacts are as important for their use as for their beauty. This is not a little helper, this is a piece of art. This is a pet, and I would argue a very good solution to have instead of imprisoning real life animals. So if you are here again, then I want to say thank you again for watching this video at all, which is amazing. Yeah, I really wonder what do you like about this? Do you have some ideas about this, or maybe you would have done it differently yourself? Then please tell me. I might not do it, but it is still very interesting and I like creative ideas, so please tell me anyways.